This Randy Cross interview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
This is Randy Cross. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Multiple partners.
Yes.
Well, is it 3 legs of a parlay? What do we call 3 people? 3 amigos.
Tripod. The three amigos. The CFB amigos joining us as always when we talk college football, and Randy Cross, Colby Dant, aka Pick Dundee, Randy Cross Insider. We need
Randy Cross specialist.
Yes, you know how there's like the ref who only handles the K balls. That's Colby. Only handles the Randy Cross and a couple other specialists.
Him and June Jones, we just trade emails talking about game. You know.
Do you think people would believe us if we showed them a picture of Colby and said this is our publicist?
Oh yeah, there's yes.
Well, actually, that's funny because we've also had a pretty hilarious looking publicist before. But no, the idea that Colby has this this steel trap of great football minds all in his phone.
Yeah, most again, especially coming from the TV industry, most publicists are these like anorexic looking women with like tons of Botox and like tattooed eyebrows and are just like the cuntiest of all cunts to deal with and just over caffeinated in these shitty emails. But then yeah, in the football world, it's great. We seem to have put together a stable of old school football guys who enjoy just coming on, talking ball, shooting the shit.
They enjoy getting just random pictures from Colby, a random play. You know, hey, check out this triple option call from the 50s.
And we did. Me and Randy Cross did have a conversation about barbecue on the email chain at one point. You know,
it's very exciting.
He likes to cook, so
well,
I mean,
he's a man.
He's a massive barbecue guy, and we got to. We didn't bring it up on the interview. We forgot to invite ourselves, but I think there was like we were close to maybe syncing up for a tailgate at UCLA. But if he's in town, Colby, like we gotta go to a UCLA game with Randy Cross. I feel like he would do it right, put out a good spread.
Also, feel like we need to do a Thanksgiving interview session, some sort of episode where we just have quick 5-minute interviews with guys, and part of it is give us your best meat preparation.
Oh.
Well, when we're ready to go to a real rivalry like Army Navy, he calls that I believe every year.
Yep.
The Army Navy game. So I mean, if we go out there,
Army Navy would be awesome. I mean, that's definitely bucket list games.
Where are they playing it this year?
This year's FedEx.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be the worst place on earth.
Why do they not play? I thought they always. It's not always at the link, or they rotate.
Majority at the link. They do like Foxborough and Giant.
The most
Stadium
American thing ever would be for us to go play it on the beaches of Normandy.
Oh hell yeah! Beach football.
Set up a football.
Don't even tell the French. Just show up. We got a game today.
Just sending. Hey, we didn't announce the last time we showed up. We're not going to announce now.
That'd be great. Just having
get off on a destroyer.
And instead of running out of the tunnel, have them run out of the landing craft.
This is genius.
Just imagine, French wouldn't see it coming. Landing craft hits the beach of Normandy.
They start running.
Football team runs out.
They start
Navy
running wing T. They got no idea what. Look, if you thought Hitler ran through them quickly, watch the wing T would go through that. That country.
The Desert Fox did have some good straight line speed. No, I think it would be the America Invades series, right?
Oh,
you could play it all over the world.
All right, I'm googling football fields in Normandy.
Don't like these jokes. That's not funny, man. It's not funny. You probably offended someone right there.
They just keep showing these soccer fields for France.
Well,
We'll do some research.
They call it football over there.
Yeah, actually they've been doing the NFL kickoff for a long time over there in Europe with soccer. First of all,
I'll save my kickoff take for the college football week 1 picks episode, which is coming up next.
I was just going to say we do have European football that is played in Europe, so I'm sure we could find at least some goalposts shown.
Okay,
maybe we carry the goalpost down to the beach. Just draw some lines
instead of planting the flag. We're planting the goalpost.
We could call the Pori Bears and say, Coach Leach was a friend of ours. Can you donate your goalpost?
Well, rain flyer.
By that Vikings sailed south from that area down to take over the French at times, so that would maybe be very, very significant.
All right. Enough messing around. A reminder, everyone, the phrase that pays $500 circa NFL future ticket up for grabs. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/phrase. After you listen to all 32 NFL team previews, submit your entry there.
I've had a couple people reach out. Will the college experience do we're going to have to call it a novel that pays or something, but for 130,
oh wow,
what will it be next year? 137?
Yeah, 136, maybe 137. I think
team previews. Will there be a phrase that pays for the college side of things?
That's a good question.
That's a long ass. How many paragraphs is that?
Colby, are you able to? You think you can get it out?
100 do a phrase with 130. Can we have somebody count that? I'm going to take a guess at
Let's give. All right, you know what? That's a perfect task for Noah. He could spend the entire offseason on him to perfect.
I'm not a big fan of that part of the job where you have
what do you mean?
Counting words. No, that doesn't sound very fun.
If we could figure out a 137 word statement, that would be pretty good. Maybe the song "We Believe" has maybe that has 137.
And then it would just ramble on about domes.
It's like 5 teams have words. "Believe" as the word.
All right, before we get to Randy, of course, underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN, get you over there, get your $1,000 deposit bonus, get that up to $1,000 in bonus cash, and their bonuses are pretty sweet. I think it's you only have to play it once to use it. Very easy to get set up. College pick'em, NFL pick'em. We're going to be talking college football pick'em on our week 1 picks podcast coming up shortly. We're doing 2 parts because week 1 is such a loaded slate for college football. Getting you ready. Underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN, and of course Rhythm. Rhythm. I'm gonna rename my model to the run the damn ball model because it loved rushing offense and defense and was on Georgia Tech. So again, it's great when Rhythm, the model you build, also gels with what's happening on the field. It is really fun to tinker around and decide like, hey, Kramer has an all gas college football model, which is that your NFL
about changing the name to Veronica?
Veronica.
Yeah, I want my models to have names. So I'm thinking about changing it from all gas to Veronica.
What are some?
Maybe Stacy up next. Julie was a name I was kicking around.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then maybe I'll every once in a while.
Giselle is the witchcraft model, Ryan. Remember when we went viral for talking about how Giselle might be a witch?
Maybe Eduardo eventually.
You don't need magical powers to figure out college football or NFL. All you need is Rhythm. Give it a shot, especially college football week 1. Free 7-day trial. It's free. You can't go wrong. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Joining us on the line, Super Bowl champion and broadcaster Randy Cross. Randy, appreciate you hopping on. Knew you just got back from Italy. What was your favorite thing to eat in Italy? The food's great. I've been a couple times, love it. But did you have one thing that stood out?
Yeah, my stomach. Yeah, I mean, I think I put on 5 pounds, which I think is pretty.
That's good for Italy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't normally eat 2 or 3 meals a day, but over there I tell you what stood out was the fact of how fresh their food is. And I don't know if it's it was the crisp mountain air in Lake Como or the ocean air in Portofino or, Tuscany. I don't know what it was, but all the food tasted good. And I tell you what, they can grow tomatoes in Italy that we can't even begin to touch. Forget technology in this country. start at tomatoes. We can't grow tomatoes.
Yeah, let's get tomatoes right, and then we tackle the big
You're
problem.
speaking my language. I grew up in New Jersey. Very proud of our tomatoes.
Yeah,
Ryan's a Jersey Italian, so we stumbled right into tomato talk early here.
Yeah. You know, it's not all about Marzano. It's there's a crazy. It was fun though. It was really good. Thanks.
Well, and of course you're hitting the road, going to be covering a bunch of games. College football finally has what looks like a real playoff here with 12 teams. Who is a surprise team? Is there someone you think maybe from the group of 5 or maybe one of these, you know, like the SEC second or third team, Big Ten second or third team? Who do you think is going to get into the college football playoff that might surprise people coming up?
Well, I'm like everybody else. I pretty much expect the SEC and the Big Ten to put like 4 teams each out of the 12.
Yeah.
So then we're going to have a team or two from the ACC and one or so from the Big 12, and then you get one from the Group of 5, which I think this year is going to be Memphis. It's kind of a consensus. It's either Memphis or Boise in most people's minds, and I can't argue with that. I just see, and it's only because of mainly one guy that could make games shorter, and they know how to play offense, and they've got a pretty good D too, which sounds funny in the Big 12, which now plays defense. Yeah. But I like Ollie Gordon in Oklahoma State. You know, if he has the same kind of year he had last year, now that Texas and Oklahoma are out of there, it gives them a pretty good chance. And I think teams like Oklahoma State and a new team in that conference in Utah, who, I think Willingham has done an unbelievable job of just making Utah a force.
Yeah,
they got Rising back at quarterback, which would be great. But at the O-line, D-line, defense, they are really, really good, and I think they're gonna surprise a lot of fans in the Big 12. So I think if there's one to me though, it might be Oklahoma State.
I like how you mentioned both teams in the Big 12 with quarterbacks that I think came up with your quarterback Joe Montana, because they've been in college for like 20 years. Cam Rising's in what year 7 with the option to come back for year 8.
That's
and then
awesome.
Alan Bowman, who tweeted out recently, this is a great first day of my 19th year in school.
It's like Tommy Boy at quarterback.
Well, you already had Penix this last year.
Yeah.
Who, he got basically a dog year in college.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see this. Been, you got to stop blaming COVID and start saying, why are they staying longer? And I think part of it's the money, and they're being smart, because they're sure as hell not going to get, most of them aren't going to get the kind of cash in the pros that they're getting in college, at least for right now, until college smartens up and stops wasting money.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good point. So, just in general, we're seeing it now. Guys are staying longer. Do you think this is long term going to help the college game by bringing back, like, preventing people from dipping out some of the talented guys when maybe they shouldn't? To your point, so they can make a little bit less money but stay in college.
Well, it'll help. It'll help the game with some of them. I think you see it, as we're discussing. A lot of it happens at quarterback, and they're getting good advice. Bo Nix made himself a ton of money staying his 8th year or whatever the hell he was. When you go 3 teams and it seems like you're there for 3 years at each one,
yeah,
you're doing pretty good.
I know. Bo Nix Auburn feels like a different player. Like, wait, that was the same guy?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I think you're going to see more and more of it, but specifically, I think at quarterback, line of scrimmage, wide receiver. Some of the places where you can get hurt a lot easier. I don't know how much it's going to change.
Well, you bring up a good point with the line play. I would imagine a grown 24-year-old man versus an 18, 19-year-old boy. There's a slight difference in grit, and I would imagine if it like that. To me, that's the area where you would see the biggest gap, is that you're going to see these kind of run-of-the-mill offensive linemen who maybe don't pop in the NFL, but they can play for a long time, and they're going to be able to dominate these younger men.
Well, they didn't pop in their second or third or fourth or fifth year in college, but they're 6 and 7. They're kicking ass.
That's when they find their rhythm.
How much do you regret? Like, do you walk around the house telling your family like, oh, I was born in the wrong time period, because you'd be making money, and what would it be like to have that much money at that young of an age for you?
Yeah, it does pass your mind every time something happens. It's gotten more like that now that, there are really, really average college players, specifically on the line of scrimmage, that are making more than I made my best year in the NFL.
Yeah, oh man,
so
insane.
That hurt the hell with the NFL.
and you built
the
that
hell with
thing.
the guys like Williams making $35 million to play offensive line. But yeah, it crosses your mind, but I learned a long time ago, one of the keys to happiness is not worrying about things you have no control over.
It's true.
And that would be pretty damn high on the list.
Now you obviously played with the 49ers, Joe Montana. You were there for his rookie year. They didn't play him right away. Steve Young, similar thing, right? He sat behind Montana. There's a big debate right now. Hey, Drake May, should they start him week 1? Michael Penix, it seems like they're not going to. They're going to, obviously they have Kirk Cousins. Bo Nix was named the starter. Do you have what's your take on whether or not you should start the quarterbacks right away? Obviously the league has changed a little bit, but where do you stand?
I think it's an individual team by team decision. I think some of the luckiest quarterbacks are the guys that watch. I'll go back in the Wayback Machine with you a little bit. One of the guys I think that really benefited from watching Chris Chandler get the crap beat out of him was Steve McNair at Houston, who watched and learned to be a quarterback before he had to get in the game. And once he got in the game, he transformed a lot about it playing quarterback, and people were so impressed with his size and his speed and his arm and everything else. Mahomes with Alex Smith, same thing in Kansas City. It's hard to argue against, the guys getting a chance to become a pro instead of being forced to be a pro, unless you really have to do it. But there's a reason those teams draft that high.
Yeah, right.
They usually are not complete. They usually don't have an offensive line. And if I'm Drake May, I look no further than the last guy on that team to wear number 10, and look at his experience, and look at his protection, and look at the toys they put around him or didn't put around him, as to whether or not I'm in too much of a damn hurry to get in there and get the crud knocked out of me.
A perfect comparison, you just brought it up, was Mahomes to Alex Smith, because Alex Smith, I think his first 7 years in the NFL had 7 different offensive coordinators, which is just a remarkable stat. And it took him to finding Andy Reid to becoming somewhat decent.
That's a lot of quarterback story.
Yeah, but it's like you said, there's a lot of quarterbacks that way, and that's one of the things that never gets discussed, I think, enough. It's not so much the quarterback and his talents. Is he going to have protection? Does he have people to bail him out? Do they have people that know how to adjust their routes and come find the quarterback when he gets in trouble? Do they have an offensive coordinator and a quarterback coach that can really drill the fundamentals? When things go wrong, that's when you need the fundamentals. I spent a lot of years watching Bill Walsh with quarterbacks, just obsessed with the first step away from the center, and obsessed about 3-step, 5-step, 7-step, rolling right, rolling left. How do you do that? What are your footsteps? And some of that gets lost in the wash, unless you got a guy that really knows how to call offensive plays, and sometimes even another guy that really knows how to coach that position.
Yeah, kind of sticking with the quarterback stuff here. San Francisco 49ers coming off that Super Bowl loss. Now you, Randy, never lost a Super Bowl, but what does it take? My Eagles after
I'm usually the asshole that brings that up.
Hey, I put the guests in a good spot. You don't really understand what it's like to lose a Super Bowl, but for a guy who's only won Super Bowls, what is it like that year after the Super Bowl? My Eagles, 2022 they lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. Then 2023 started out 10-1, then hit the wall. Things unraveled. What's in store for this 49ers team this season? Obviously, still a very talented team. You got Shanahan there, you got Purdy, but then there's a lot of looming questions, contract stuff. Walk us through what it's like the year after the Super Bowl.
Well, contracts come up, like you just mentioned, and that's always a big thing. It's always huge with money. They're going to find a way to, with Ayuk and Williams, is get that offense kind of settled. But the 1,200-pound gorilla in the corner of the room is your quarterback, who's now in his third year on a rookie contract, making peanuts, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a problem as to who you can't. But as long as you pay attention to the cap, and the cap keeps doing what it's been doing, you see some of these teams that at first end of the season comes and you go, man, how are they going to sign people? They got magic calculators or what? What's the deal? But the way the cap's been going up, sometimes, the cap increases by about a 1-star player every year.
Yeah.
And it makes your cap, I think, a little more manageable. But Purdy's going to get by the time this season's over.
Oh man.
Purdy's going to be that guy that goes to the window and shows up and says, I'd like to cash out. And the guy behind him is pushing a huge tray of nothing but funny colored tiles.
Yeah, no, he's certainly going to get paid. But then, to your point, they do seemingly kind of find a way to get it done. The key to me, at least from watching, seems like, hey, get the deal done early. Like once Brock Purdy is the guy, or once Ayuk's the guy, whatever, like you're only increasing what you have to pay them by waiting. It seems like these teams like Dallas, who, as much as it pains me to compliment the Cowboys, have done a great job drafting Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, and Dak Prescott. They haven't done a good job of locking them up because now they're all wanting a new deal at the same time, all wanting to get paid. It seems like you're just delaying the inevitable if you're not paying them as early as you can, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the only thing the Cowboys are bad at legitimately, and they can't even argue this, is they don't finish.
Yeah.
They're not a finisher when it comes to games or seasons or whatever you want to talk about, which is really unfortunate because they do have a lot of talent. But whether you take the Niners and then you take the Eagles and you take the Chiefs and you take the Bengals and you take the Cowboys and go down that list of teams that legitimately are going to compete and be really good, it all comes down to health. It's not the star players. It's not anything else. I think it's the health. And that's something San Francisco had last year in spades. I mean, the season that McCaffrey had last year, and the way that he plays, they have two guys specifically that they're in an auto accident every single week.
Yeah.
Because they just go to the wall every single play, and Bosa and McCaffrey. And as long as guys like that stay healthy, forget it. Put Kittle in there too. They're gonna be really, really good. It's all about the health because these days they're so overtrained that it's not hard during the season to get dinged up.
Randy, you played at UCLA. They are located in Los Angeles, right?
Last time I checked.
Well, did
you
you
wouldn't know by their affiliation this year, but in LA, yeah.
Did you catch Deshaun Foster? He's the new head coach, former Bruin himself, played, former Carolina Panther running back, was very good, but that opening presser at the Big Ten, quite hilarious. But also, how do you like them in the Big Ten, and how much trouble is this going to be just from a travel logistics standpoint?
Yeah.
And I'm curious, do we make too much of that as the media, or do you think no? Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, they're going to, you look at the Big 12 specifically, some of those teams, look at how much they're going to travel during the course of the season. The Bruins are traveling over 22,000 miles
it's insane.
for their games and what are they playing? 6 road games, 22,000 miles. So I think it's a very big factor that is yet to be determined. And that's going to be all sports. Everybody gets to go to Rutgers. Everybody gets to go to Penn State. Everybody gets to go, make those big trips. And as long as the Bruins can manage in the next. I don't know about this year how competitive they're going to be in the Big Ten, because it's right there behind the SEC in college football, and specifically that's because of the line of scrimmage on both sides, and that's somewhere where the Bruins aren't exactly sparkly. But I think Foster, he had his little stumble at the presser, and everybody had their chuckle and stuff. But I think he's going to be pretty good for UCLA. I think he's got the right attitude, and it's good to have a Bruin in charge. And it's also good to have somebody who wants to get off his ass and recruit. Contrary to the current offensive coordinator for the Buckeyes, that didn't want to do that, but now gets to call plays and sit in the booth and eat hot dogs and be comfortable and not have to worry about recruiting and kissing 18-year-old kids' asses.
There's probably some veggie smoothies in there too.
There isn't. His players had to drink those, but look at him. The only thing smooth about him is his hair.
I love as an Eagles fan, I'm loving the Chip Kelly passion. I said, Randy, we did the UCLA preview, or we were talking Big Ten. I'm like, I've never seen this in my life. A guy who gives up a head coaching job at a prestigious college football school to take a coordinator position. Like, he demoted himself, and in conference, like, I could not think of any time where any competitor.
He looked at the travel. He looked at the miles and said, I'm not doing this shit.
He goes, Rutgers and Hawaii road games. I'm out of here. I'm going to just, I want to play with my clicker.
There's no analogy to be made, because it just doesn't happen.
Yes.
But good news for Chip is he doesn't have to recruit. And I could tell you some stories, but that would be kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth. But I mean, it's better for UCLA and it's better for him. And I think Deshaun is going to have success in the long run, to the point where they're going to go, okay, that was a plus making that change.
I like how he leaned.
I like the optimism. I might have to switch my Hawaii pick there.
He leaned into it too. Deshaun Foster wore the shirt the next week. So
we're in LA.
Yeah. Great.
We got to get some of those shirts ourselves.
Yeah, we got to remind people we're out in LA. Talking Big Ten. What about the SEC? First time, no Nick Saban in a long time. Can Alabama hang around? Is it Georgia's basically to lose? How do you see the SEC shaping out? Maybe any surprise teams there?
No, not really. The Dogs are going to be the team to beat. I think Kalen DeBoer, you saw the job that he did at Washington. You gave him a organization like Alabama, even with the head poobah still sitting upstairs looking over his shoulder. I think DeBoer is going to do just fine with that talent, and he brought enough guys with him that can kind of, look, this is not Nick Saban's style anymore. Here's what our coach wants from you guys, and I think they're going to be fine. And LSU, and they're still going to be really good. A&M, Texas is going to be a problem for a lot of SEC teams. And I think the SEC is going to be a problem for Texas and Oklahoma. It's so physical on a week-by-week basis that I think if you're not really prepared for that from a strength and conditioning standpoint and everything else, you're going to have quick issues. But I think they'll be okay. Sarkisian knows what it's like to be in the conference, so it's not going to surprise him.
I mean, Alabama 5-1 to win the conference. It's been a long time since we've seen that kind of price. I noticed you
crazy.
It's amazing. I noticed you didn't mention. I think the quote was narcissistic prick Lane Kiffin, head coach of Ole Miss. Any optimism for that program this year?
They're a top 10 team, which puts them in third place in the SEC.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But no, they're going to be really good. I mean, they're another one of those teams that you look at. And to a degree, I think Ohio State's in the same boat because they can't beat Michigan. That they have that hump they can't get over, and that hump in their case is the big dogs, dog or a Tide. That you've got to be able to say we can always win that one game, And that's what's made Georgia, I think, so good, is they can go through their schedule and go, we can beat everybody on our schedule. Things will go wrong. People will be hurt. Things are going to happen, like you saw at the end of the year last year. And, but I think Georgia's clearly the best team, and Mississippi is, to me, clearly, third or fourth best in the SEC, which may or may not make them in the playoffs. I think I've got them in the playoff 12 at 9 or 10.
Nice.
It does feel like they're right on the bubble. You mentioned Michigan. What about Michigan? No Harbaugh. To me, that's kind of a tough. And they lost
no
a bunch.
Connor Stallions. Too.
Yeah, no right? Connor Stallions. No.
Yeah. How about Michigan being the only team in the NCAA that's got the entire NCAA enforcement committee?
I know, they're really
zeroing in on them.
Can we talk about what a joke they are?
Is anybody else in the country in trouble?
Kirk Ferentz, which is hilarious too. Like, how are you going to get Kirk Ferentz in trouble? Like, of all the guys to get in trouble,
very straight laced Kirk Ferentz.
But that's a big thing for Michigan, and I like their coach. I love the way he handled things last year and the way he gets his guys to play with emotion and everything else. But if you're looking at this from the outside in and being any kind of objective, somebody wants them bad.
Yeah, seriously,
bad. And they're making about every kind of excuse they can to get them.
I know you got to run soon, but I wanted to ask, and I know you were over there in Italy, and I was wondering, first off, did you do that on purpose so you could on the way home stop by Dublin and catch up a college football game? But people said coming into the season that Florida State, Pete Thamel, I know, had tweeted this out saying NFL scouts have said Florida State's the best defensive line in the country this year. And we all watched that game where Georgia Tech's offensive line put a clinic on that. I mean, you could drive a car through a couple of those holes. Do you buy it in that Florida State can fix their problems? And also, how can someone be so wrong? Who are these NFL scouts? Can I apply for the job?
None of those guys talked to Brent Key about what kind of team he had.
Yeah,
to play against those great defensive linemen. I loved his quote after the game about just run the damn ball.
Oh yeah.
As an old offensive lineman, that's near and dear to your heart. That's all it was. It was line of scrimmage. They had an issue. They had a real issue. I know one thing. There's a lot less crying from the Seminoles about how the season ended last year.
It was so great. You could see the letdown coming, right? Spend the whole off season belly aching about how
coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah, we got screwed. And meanwhile, there's no talk about, hey, this Georgia Tech team was pretty good last year. They're getting no respect. They come in with a chip on their shoulder, and it wasn't even a fluke. They just they dominated at the line.
Hey, how'd you like that? How'd you like those the Celtic knots in the helmet running down the middle of the helmet?
Nice. I liked it. Cool. I liked it.
They broke a knot off in the Seminoles.
All right. Well,
awesome
I don't think we're going to be able to top that. Randy, always appreciate you calling into the show. Check out Randy, CBS Sports, calling a bunch of games this college football season. Of course, give him a follow on X at Randy Cross FB. Randy, thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, guys. Thank you.
All right. Hey, countdown is on. College football is here. Week 1. Cannot wait to do our week 1 picks podcast. Looking forward. Kramer, are we still going to be on? Are we going to be talking UCLA Hawaii?
We are. Well, so we've already talked about it. This episode, the Randy Cross episode, will be coming out between the college episodes. So we actually have
my God. All right.
We have a week 1 weekday games because Colby insisted, and then we have a week 1 weekend games.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm not going to let Randy Cross change my opinion that I've had for the last 2 months.
He loves his former Bruin there, unless except with the noted exception of Chip Kelly.
I thought what
Chip Kelly in a body bag right now.
I thought his statement about Foster was strong in that he kind of was saying, hey, the guys who played here have his back. Well, and as someone who's looking at what Coach Pry has done to my alma mater, Virginia Tech, it started with like getting the past back connected to the present, so everyone understands why it's such a great place. No, you can't explain to a young person why UCLA is a great football program.
Yeah, no.
So you have to connect it to the past. And I thought that was, he didn't say much about it. He was, there was obviously he had bigger fish to fry with Chip Kelly, but I thought that resonated with me, that maybe maybe there's a chip on Mr. Foster's shoulder, but maybe it won't show up for a year.
Year one, I think, is still going to be rough for them, travel schedule alone, but I think he made some good points about once he's out there recruiting, kind of bringing back the Bruin way, maybe leaning on some former, maybe get Troy Aikman to drop a couple bucks to the NIL deal, whatever it takes to get it done.
It's not that though. It's getting them to show back up,
roster,
like show up for these weekends where you have all the alumni there. Show the young kids, like, look at all these ballers who got paid Super Bowl rings on their hand. Like that. That's the kind of stuff that I think resonates with the young people. And yeah, I mean, I'll give him a chance, but it's just not going to be year one.
All right. And of course, promo code football, 10% off everything in the merch store.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, Stag of the Money Green. He's Ryan.
One day we're just going to have to do a show that's what Colby has on his computer.
Kramer, let it ride.